My name is Sarah Carter, and I am 35 years old. I live a busy life, balancing my career and being a single mother to my 10-year-old son, Jake. My job requires me to travel often, but I always make sure Jake is safe and cared for. That's why, when I had to go on a short business trip, I left him at my parents' house. It was supposed to be a simple arrangement. I trusted my younger sister, Lisa, who is 32, to help watch over him while I was away. She has always lived with my parents, never holding a steady job. I never judged her for that. After all, family is supposed to support each other. But I never expected what happened next. On the third night of my trip, I was in my hotel room, finishing up some emails, when my phone rang. It was Jake. Mom.
His voice was shaky.
Aunt Lisa kicked me out of the house. I sat up straight. What? Where are you? I'm outside on the porch, he said softly. She said I take up too much space and that I should leave. Grandma and Grandpa didn't say anything. My heart pounded in my chest. My own family had kicked out my child, my 10-year-old son, and left him outside alone. I couldn't believe it. Taking a deep breath, I said, "Stay right there, baby. I'll handle this." What Lisa and my parents didn't know was that I had been paying for everything, the house, the bills, even their food. They had no idea. But now, they were about to find out. And I was done being taken for granted. I could feel the anger rising in my chest as I grabbed my suitcase and booked the next flight home. It didn't matter that my meetings weren't over. I had one priority now, my son. Before leaving the hotel, I called my parents' house. My mom answered. "Mom, why is Jake outside?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. There was a long pause. Then she sighed. "Sarah, Lisa said she needed space. The house is small, and Jake." I cut her off. "He's a child. My child. Your grandson. You let Lisa throw him out." My mother didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Lisa just thought it was best. Maybe Jake can stay with a friend." That was it. I had enough. "All right," I said, my voice steady. "I understand now." I hung up. They had no idea what was coming. By the time my flight landed, it was past midnight. I picked up Jake from a nearby motel, where I had arranged for him to stay safely for the night. He ran into my arms as soon as he saw me. "Are we going home now?" he asked. I kissed his forehead. "Yes, sweetheart. But not to Grandma's house." The next morning, I made one final payment on their bills, just to give them one last month of comfort. Then I stopped everything. No more paying their mortgage. No more covering their utilities. No more groceries. They would finally see what life was like without me. At first, they didn't notice. Then the calls started coming. First, it was my mom. "Sarah, there's a problem with the electricity bill. Can you check if you forgot to send it?" I smiled to myself. "I didn't forget, Mom. I just stopped paying." There was silence. Then, her voice lowered. "Wait, what do you mean?" I said, that I've been paying for everything. The house, the bills, even the food in the fridge. But since Lisa doesn't want my son there, I figured you didn't need my help either. "Sarah, honey, let's not be dramatic." I hung up. Let them figure it out. Because this time, I wasn't coming to the rescue. The next day, Lisa called. I expected anger, but her voice was sweet. Too sweet. "Hey, Sarah," she said, stretching out my name like we were best friends. "Mom said there was a little mix-up with the bills. Could you fix that? Just until things settle?" I almost laughed. "Settle?" "Lisa," I said, my tone firm, "you kicked my son out of that house like he was nothing. You made it clear that we weren't welcome. So now neither is my money."
She scoffed.
"Oh, come on, Sarah. Don't be petty. It's just a few payments." "No," I said simply. For the first time, I heard panic creep into her voice. "But the mortgage is due. The power's already been shut off once. Mom and Dad can't handle this kind of stress." I took a deep breath. "And you think Jake could handle being thrown out by his own aunt?" Lisa went quiet. "Figure it out," I said, then hung up. Days passed. Then weeks. The house that had once been filled with warmth, a home I had kept running in the background, was now falling apart. The bank issued a foreclosure warning. Their credit cards got declined. The refrigerator sat empty because they never had to budget before. And then, the biggest shock of all, Lisa called again. This time, she was crying. "Sarah, I messed up." I stayed silent. I shouldn't have done that to Jake, she admitted. I don't know why I was so cruel. I thought you'd always be there to fix things. For the first time, she sounded honest. I exhaled, my grip on the phone loosening. Jake's the one you need to apologize to, not me. A pause. Then, can I? I turned to my son, sitting beside me. He deserved to make that choice. And whatever he decided, I would stand by it. Jake looked up at me, confusion in his eyes. I covered the phone and whispered, "Lisa wants to apologize. Do you want to hear her out?" He hesitated. I could see the hurt still fresh on his face. Finally, he nodded. I put the phone on speaker. "Hi, Jake," Lisa said, her voice shaky. Jake didn't say anything. I just wanted to say I was wrong," she continued. "I shouldn't have kicked you out. It was mean and selfish. And I'm sorry." Silence. Then Jake spoke, his voice small but firm. "You didn't even care if something happened to me." Lisa sniffled. "I know. And I hate myself for it." Jake looked up at me again. I could tell he was thinking hard. Finally, he said, "I forgive you." My heart clenched. My son had more kindness in him than most adults. "But," he added, "I don't want to go back there." I squeezed his hand. "You don't have to." Lisa exhaled. "I understand." For the first time, she sounded like she meant it. I didn't immediately offer to help her. I didn't fix her problems. Instead, I let her sit with the weight of her actions. And in the weeks that followed, reality hit her hard. She had to get a job. She had to pay bills for the first time in her life. She had to face the consequences of her choices. And as for my parents, they didn't reach out again, not to me anyway. They had made their choice when they let Lisa kick my son out. But I wasn't angry anymore. I had peace. And most importantly, Jake and I had each other. That was all we needed. Months passed and life moved forward. I had bought a new home, a place just for Jake and me. It wasn't a mansion, but it was ours. Cozy, safe, and filled with love. One afternoon, as I unpacked the last of our boxes, Jake ran up to me. "Mom, guess who texted me?" I raised an eyebrow. "Who?" "Aunt Lisa." I hesitated. "What did she say?" He handed me his phone. "Lisa, hey, Jake. I just wanted to check in. How are you?" Jake looked up at me. Should I answer? I studied his face. He looked curious, not scared. He had grown stronger since everything happened, more confident in himself. "That's up to you, buddy," I said gently. "You get to decide who you let in your life." He thought for a moment, then typed a simple response. "Jake, I'm good. I hope you are too." It wasn't an invitation. It wasn't a reunion. It was closure. Lisa had finally started taking responsibility for herself. She wasn't expecting handouts anymore, and she wasn't making excuses. She was trying. But trying didn't erase what had happened. I never cut her off completely, but I kept my boundaries. No more rescuing. No more carrying the weight of their choices. Jake and I had built a new life, one where we came first. And for the first time in years, I felt free. One evening, as Jake and I sat on our new couch watching a movie, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen.
Mom.
I hadn't heard from her in months. Not since I had cut off their financial support. My stomach tightened. I debated ignoring it, but a part of me was curious. I took a deep breath and answered. "Hello." "Sarah," my mother said, her voice softer than I expected. "How are you?" I frowned. "Small talk? After everything?" "I'm fine," I said cautiously. "What's going on?"
She sighed.
"I just wanted to say I miss you. And Jake." I didn't respond. There was a long pause. Then she continued. "Lisa's been working now. She's different. And, well, we lost the house." I blinked. "What?" "The bank took it. We couldn't keep up. Your father and I had to move into a small apartment. It's been hard," she admitted. We've had to learn to budget for the first time. For years, they had lived comfortably because of me. Now they were facing the reality they had ignored for so long. I'm sorry, Mom, I said honestly, but I can't fix that for you. I know, she said quietly. And I don't expect you to. I just wanted to talk. I let out a slow breath. I didn't trust her yet. I didn't know if this was genuine change or just another attempt to pull me back in. But for once, she wasn't asking for money. She wasn't making excuses. So I let the conversation continue.
Carefully.
On my terms. As we talked, Jake leaned against me, watching with quiet curiosity. This time, I was in control. And that felt like a victory. Over the next few weeks, my relationship with my mom remained cautious, but civil. We exchanged texts, sometimes talking about small things, what Jake was up to, how her apartment was. There was a shift, a change in the way we communicated. It was more real, less about expectations or guilt. But it wasn't the same as it had been before. I couldn't forget how they had taken me for granted, how easily they'd let Lisa treat my son like he didn't matter. They had their own consequences to face now, and I wasn't going to swoop in and save them. One day, Jake came running into the living room with a big smile on his face. Guess what, Mom? I looked up from my work. What's up, kiddo? I got an invite to Aunt Lisa's for the weekend. She said she's making lasagna, and she wants us to come. His eyes were full of excitement, the kind that only happens when he's genuinely looking forward to something. I paused, thinking. I didn't want to stop him from having a relationship with his aunt if he was ready. But I also didn't want him to be hurt again. After everything that had happened, trust was something I couldn't just hand out freely. Are you sure you're okay with it? I asked gently. Jake nodded. Yeah, I think she really wants to make things right. I'll be careful, though. I smiled, a little relieved. All right, then. But remember, I'm always here if you need to talk. You know that, right? Of course, Mom. Thanks. He hugged me tight before running off to grab his things for the weekend. I couldn't help but feel a little proud of him. He had grown so much through all this. He wasn't afraid to forgive, but he also knew when to protect himself. He understood the importance of boundaries just like I had learned to do. As he left for Lisa's that weekend, I sat quietly, reflecting on everything that had happened. The house, the money, the betrayal, it all felt so far behind me now. What mattered was the strength Jake and I had built together, the new life we were creating. And in that moment, I realized something important. I didn't need to fix my family. They had to fix themselves. And I had done the hardest thing. I had let go. The phone buzzed again, and I saw it was from my mom. I stared at it for a moment before deciding to answer. Hey, Mom, I said, keeping my tone light. I just wanted to say, I'm proud of you, she said, her voice trembling slightly. I know I didn't say it before, but I see now what you did and how hard it must have been. I get it, Sarah. You did what you had to do. And I respect that. For the first time in a long while, there was honesty in her voice. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Thanks, Mom. It wasn't easy. But I'm proud of myself, too. And for the first time in years, I believed it. As Jake returned from his weekend with Lisa, he seemed different. There was no bitterness in his voice, no anger. He had forgiven her, and I had learned to trust his instincts. We were finally free, not just from the weight of my family's expectations, but from the idea that we ever had to carry their burdens again. Jake and I had each other, and that was enough. And when the phone rang again, I didn't feel the rush to pick it up. Whatever happened next was no longer my responsibility. I had done what I needed to do. Now it was time to live my life.